Welcome to this 2024 December edition of The Survey Says. I'm Natalia, and joining me on set is my favorite William Patterson University colleague, Brooke.
Hi.
Hello.
It's nice to be with you again.
Of course.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So things went so well when you came to my campus that I had to come back.
Yes.
So how could I resist the opportunity to return to my broadcasting roots?
Yes, on today's edition of The Survey Says, we will be getting to dig into the motives and thoughts of two of the writers featured in their upcoming publication. Do you have a similar show at your college?
Actually, we do. It's called WPTV Presents, and it's a show where we interview two people from a club, typically a communication department club, and we talk about their club and what they do.
Oh, that's really cool. That's awesome. So don't go away. The Survey Says we'll be right back.
$6.3 million animals enter U.S. animal shelters every year. Each year, approximately 920,000 animals are euthanized. The reason for this is because of overpopulation. Too old and the sick get euthanized to prevent diseases from spreading. But the Warwick Valley Humane Society is here to help them. The society is here to protect all lost and homeless pets safely until being reunited.
Welcome back to The Survey Says. I'm Natalia Jacob. Joining me is Madison DeSantis, a staff writer for The Survey. Madison, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Before we talk about your article, can you explain what you do as managing editor?
So as managing editor, I really overlook to make sure that we are going to have our stuff published on time. I pick out which articles are going to go into our magazine for the quarter, as well as we kind of like organize them into the table of contents, and then I try to look over our InDesign program to make sure that everyone is comfortable using the different tools to help create our pages.
Very cool. So let's get right into your article, which is about AI. How do you see AI reshaping creative fields in the next decade?
Unfortunately, I think because of more businesses using it, we're going to see less people going into those creative fields. So I think we're going to see our talent kind of devolving in a way, since we're going to have less passionate people going into those fields. And I think that hopefully after some backlash that certain companies are getting after using it, that they start to back away from the usage of it.
So do you think that human creativity and AI will eventually never coexist with one another?
I don't exactly think that. I think right now, since it's in the beginning of us using both, it's kind of hard, but I think once we I don't want to say get more comfortable with each other, since it is AI, it's not like a real person, but I think once we learn, I think we will learn how to. I think it's just a matter of time and experience.
So in your article, you mentioned that businesses use AI because it's more cost effective for the businesses. In terms of ethics, when do you see AI replacing human jobs? How do you think the companies will see that happening?
Are you asking, will companies replace the human jobs?
Yeah, do you think that they'll see it as morally right or wrong, when replacing it?
I think most of the time companies just strive for what saves them the most money and time. I think we see that with a lot of CEOs and higher ups, where people have to fight for themselves. That's why we have unions and things like that. So I do think that companies aren't taking their workers' feelings into account for this, but hopefully they will begin to if the workers start to go on strike, such as when they did in LA.
Mm-hmm. So because of this, in terms of the workers, what psychological impacts in terms of mental health and work dynamics do you see AI having?
I think people in these creative fields are going to have easier burnout, knowing that they can be easily replaced, more anxiety, more stress because of this. I also think there's going to be higher job insecurity. Mm-hmm. Most people aren't going to want to go and study in a field where they know they could be replaced and might have to go work for minimum wage or be laid off soon.
Yeah. In your article, you also use the Coca-Cola holiday ad that got a lot of backlash. Do you think that the rapid use of AI, do you think that will have a negative effect on consumer trust with brands?
I definitely think it will, since as consumers, we mostly relate to the workers as well, since we are those workers for the most part. And I think we like to see people succeeding in where they're working. So I do think that there's going to be more distrust. I think people are definitely going to look more into commercials like, oh, is that hand weird? Oh, is that face off? Or have this been generated? So I think people are going to look more into it and look for those signs now.
Yeah. And at the end of your article, you use a quote from Kai-Fu Lee, who suggests that AI will give more job opportunities. What fields or jobs do you see emerging from the use of AI?
I definitely think the medical field. As AI has progressed, we're getting better with certain surgeries. We're detecting certain illnesses faster and easier. So I do think if you're going into science or the medical field, you might see more jobs open up. So I do think that is a positive that is happening.
Excellent. Well, Madison, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your thoughts on this very important topic. When the survey says returns, Brooke will be joined by another managing editor that tackles a topic that is very important to all the movie lovers out there.
As a teen, I see many people who give drugs a try because one time won't hurt. Every 1 in 7 teens try drugs, and all it takes is one time to change a life forever. 22 teenagers die each week due to accidental overdose. Before you let your friend or yourself make that one decision, stop to think about it. Please visit www.sad.org.
Welcome back to Survey Says. I'm Brooke Holzhauer. It's time to shift gears and get away from technology and talk about something we all think we know. Joining me on set today is managing editor Brenna Belasco. Brenna, thanks for being here.
Of course.
So we're going to be talking about your article, which is about popcorn in the movie theater industries and how much of an impact it has had on the public. So your topic was about the evolution of popcorn in the movie theater scene. Can you tell us why you chose about this topic? Like, what made you inspired to choose that one?
So it actually wasn't what I was going to write about in the beginning. I was actually going to be conducting an interview myself with another student, but the plans ended up falling through. And I was kind of like scrambling for ideas. And I settled on this one because I had a conversation with my dad and I was asking him about popcorn and kind of what he thought about it. And I was like, well, how do you think it became such a big thing in the movie theater industry? And he's like, well, I don't know, maybe you should write something about that because I don't think a lot of people know about it. So I did, and I wrote it in about an hour the night before it was due. And Miss Taylor really liked it, so.
That's awesome. That's a really good story, actually. You know, like your dad might know some things that like maybe you didn't know about it, or maybe you're both learning something through that process, which is really cool. I noticed that you mentioned the Great Depression and how the price of popcorn didn't really change because of that, which is a little interesting to me. Hence why more families would buy it. So can you tell us a little bit more about how this historical period had such an impact on the popcorn and movie theater industries?
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting as well because, you know, when you learn about the Great Depression in school, you learn about how nobody had a job and everything was really scarce and you couldn't buy anything. So when I was doing research for this article, I was surprised to find out that popcorn hadn't really changed in price, but it had changed in demand. Everyone wanted it because it was something that was easy to get and it was cheap and it filled people up as well. It was a snack. People had it for meals, and it was easy to obtain. And then everyone went to the movies because they didn't really have anything else to do. Because unfortunately, if you don't have a job, you're kind of there's nothing really for you to do because that was your daily life. So they had like a lot more time in their hands. So they went to movie theaters and they bought popcorn because it was easy to get.
It's very interesting. And then you mentioned in your article that a woman by the name of Julia Braden started selling popcorn in the lobbies of movie theaters,
Yes.
which I had no idea about her story. Can you tell us a little bit more about how her success affected the popcorn and movie theater industries?
Yeah, so I don't know as much about her as I wish I did because she was mentioned very fleetingly in an article that I read, but I found her very interesting, so I did a little bit more research. But she was selling, like basically, everybody was selling popcorn like outside movie theaters because at the beginning of this big like popcorn movie theater boom, they didn't want outside vendors inside their store, like kind of how they do now when they don't let you bring in outside snacks, even though everybody does.
Right.
They don't want anything outside that they didn't sell to you in their like their lobbies in their theaters. So this woman, Julia, she pushed really, really, really hard to get her popcorn inside the movie theaters and to be able to sell in there, like right there, to be able to talk with the consumers directly and get them their popcorn. So because of her, everyone else started realizing, oh, hey, I could do that too. Like, I can start pushing for that. So then popcorn being sold in movie theaters by vendors, they had like little stands, like very specifically, it became a thing because of her.
That's really cool. Yeah, I had no idea about that until I
Neither
read your
did I.
article, and I'm like, this is actually really like more interesting than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So obviously, as we know, making popcorn is easy and quick at home, and it's even better when we get it from the theater itself.
Yes.
You know, it's hot, it's fresh. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that kind of came to be with the electric popcorn machine?
Yeah, so the man who invented it, he was named Charles Craters, and he actually owned a confectionery shop, and he was trying to improve a machine that he had for roasting peanuts. And it didn't work out in his favor at all, but it was kind of like a backwards thing, because once he realized that he couldn't use it to make roasted peanuts the way he wanted to, he realized he could use it for popping popcorn. I'm not entirely sure how he figured that out, because they're on two separate ends of a spectrum, but he found out that he could use it to pop popcorn, and he ended up taking it to the Chicago Fair, which is now the World's Fair, and he met his business partner there as well. And that's kind of where it started, because he messed up making peanuts.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I read a little bit about Charles Cretan from your article, and it's really interesting how he kind of like just emerged into that kind of scene,
Yeah.
just from like peanuts.
Exactly.
And just like a malfunction. So to wrap things up, I want to ask you your opinion on the best kind of popcorn. You know, it's a debate that everybody can like, you know, have a little opinion on. So butter, kettle, or cheese? And then what do you consider a fair price for that bucket when they know it's going to create an additional, you know, beverage price and all that?
I think if I had to pick a favorite kind of popcorn, it probably would be butter. Nothing really tops going to the movie theater and getting a nice giant container of it.
That's true.
And recently I went to the movie theater and watched Wicked with my mom, and since it was just the two of us and she can't eat gluten and she doesn't get food from movie theaters all the time, she wasn't planning on getting any snacks or anything like that. So I ended up buying the little kid size popcorn, you know, the folding tray with the space for your drink and the little fruit snacks. And I don't remember how much that was priced. I think it's probably like $3.
Really?
I think so.
Okay, that's pretty cheap, honestly.
Yeah, in that, you know, in the range. It could not have been like 10 or anything like that. I really don't think so.
Wow.
And it was a perfect amount of popcorn. It was a small size drink, but I could have gotten another one if I really needed it.
Yeah.
But I think it was like the perfect size and everything. I have to
Wow.
say, like, I think that's actually, ironically enough, even though it's geared towards much smaller children, I think it's like the perfect package.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, usually like when I've been to the movies, like a like small will be like really a medium,
Yes.
and like they'll give you so much, but they'll charge you like at least $10 for it. And
Exactly.
I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, but that's awesome that it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
And I really like talking about this with you. So thank you for being on set with me
course.
today. And when Survey Says returns, Natalia and I will share our thoughts on what we have heard and preview some of the other articles that you can find in the latest edition of the survey. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Never again, they said, after the Columbine school shooting in 1999. Since then, there have been 417 school shootings. Hi, my name is Evan Gomez, and these tragedies have to come to an end. From only 2018 to 2023, 1,073 people were either wounded or killed during these tragedies. December 14, 2012, 26 innocent lives were lost in a massacre during the events in Sandy Hook Elementary. Visit sandyhookpromise.org to help bring these events to an end.
Welcome back to The Survey Says. I'm Natalia Jakob.
And I'm Brooke Holzhauer. So Natalia, what is your takeaway from your conversation with Madison on the impact of AI on the job market?
Well, I learned that the development of AI is essentially inevitable, and it will have negative impacts on humans, especially in the creative field, but it will have a positive effect on developments in the medical field.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. So Brooke, do you think you'll ever look at popcorn simply as a snack again?
I don't think so. Brenna, her article taught me who really brought popcorn into the movie theater scene. For example, Julia Braden, she sold popcorn in the lobbies of movie theaters to people. Like, it was fresh, it was hot, it was a great little snack. And then Charles Cretan was the one who created the electric popcorn maker.
Wow, I never knew that. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So AI's impact on future employment opportunities and the history of importance of popcorn isn't enough to keep you mentally adrift. As always, the survey has a lot more to offer in their latest edition: sports, arts, clubs, and awards.
If you can't wait to get your hands on the latest edition, you can always find their current and past editions online at warwickvalleyschools.thesurvey.
Thanks for inviting me back to WVTV and for having me to be part of The Survey Says. Remember to like and subscribe to our WVTV YouTube channel. I did that when I was in 10th grade.
Warwick Valley Television is your source for all things going on at the high school and surrounding communities.
For The Survey Says, I'm Brooke Holzhauer, class of 2023.
And I'm Natalia Jakob, class of 2026. We'll see you again next time.